back. I hope you're well. It's really good to see you. So today I want to talk a bit about networking. Most people think of networking as one of those horrible events that you show up to where you're supposed to be holding your tiny glass of wine and a plate full of canapes, and you're meant to be shaking hands with people, giving out your business card, and you're like, oh my God, there's like stuff going on everywhere. That is not really great networking. I don't recommend it. I think I personally try to avoid those events at all costs. Don't go. It's a waste of time. Controversial, but never mind. Real networking, I think, is something you probably do every single day, really naturally. But there are definitely some tips and tricks, things that you can do to make your networking better, feel a bit more natural, and to just flow better, to be part of regular life and something you don't really have to give much thought to. Number one, show up. So it's as simple as that. It might be that you need to figure out where the coffee is at in your organisation. So for some people, there'll be like a kitchen down the corridor where everyone goes at a certain time each morning and afternoon to make their coffee, and you can show up there at the same time and have a chat. That's perfectly good networking. Or it might be that in your organisation, people go to the cafe. So I know that can be an expensive thing to do if you're showing up for coffee like 2 or 3 times a day and having to sink money in the cafe. Don't worry about it. Just choose 1 or maybe 2 times a day or a week that you always show up at the cafe at the same time. And you'll find that familiarity means that you'll see the same people there at those days and times, and you will naturally just strike up conversation. The other way to do it is to find opportunities to go to people's desks. So it might be your boss says, oh, so this process you need to figure out, go chat to Gary in accounts about it. So you could type Gary a nice email and say, hey Gary, I know we haven't met, blah, 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 I need to do this thing, thanks very much. Or you could find out where Gary sits, you could go to his desk, you could sit yourself down, have a nice chat with him, find out all about the process, and you're on your way. Those small things, it's the actual showing up and having conversations with people, meeting people that you don't know, that is true networking. And it can happen anywhere, anytime, wherever you may be. And here's my cat come to say hello. Okay, so that's what networking is. It is showing up. Next up, you need to know tip number 2. Remember the detail. So this is one of those things, let's use that last example. So you show up at Gary's desk, you ask him about the process, whatever you need to find out about, and then try and find out something about him. So people love to talk about themselves, about their family, about their hobbies. You know, if he's got a picture up on his desk of, I don't know, some interesting holiday destination, ask him, where is that? When did you go? Tell me about it. Remember those details, and then the next time that you chat to him, you've got a pre-made conversation starter right there. Easy, isn't it? It is, yeah. Okay, so that's it. So show up, remember the detail. Tip number 3 is not only think about what you need out of this interaction, but more importantly, what does the other person need out of the interaction? How can you help them? So let's again use Gary as our example. So you go, you find out about the process, you have a chat about his holiday. The next thing you want to find out is how can you help him? So it might be that you say something like, oh, you know, what's your main difficulty that you have with this process? And he'll be like, oh, well, people never use the template, or I haven't figured out yet who it is in HR that I need to speak to. If you know the answers to any of those questions, connect him, tell him the answer, say, oh, I'll go back to my department and remind everybody to always use the template form or whatever it is. Or if you know the person in HR, just say, oh, great, I'll send an email when I get back to my desk that puts the 2 of you in touch. And that's it. Done. Really easy. And then, you know, he'll remember that for next time, and you'll have an easy interaction, you've built a relationship, and it's much easier to ask for help in future because you've already got that relationship, and he will know that you put him in touch with the right person or ask people to do stuff for you. He'll do the same for you in the future. Tip number 4 is do yourself. Don't try to emulate anybody else. Don't try to be over sweet. Don't be over polite. Be polite and be courteous, but that's it. Apart from that, show up, be yourself. One of my favourite influences is Rachel Hollis. If you haven't read her books, go find them. They're amazing. But what she says is other people's opinion of you is none of your business. And I love that. It's so true. Yes, we need to make social connections. Yes, we want to try and find out how we can help other people. But if someone's going to hate on you for whatever reason, just ignore them. You don't need to know about that. It's nothing to do with you. That's their own issue, and it's probably driven from their own insecurity. So most of the time, you can just forget about it, move on, and just not worry. The other aspect of do you is if there's something really interesting about you, then let that thing shine through. So one of my friends in particular is, he loves to wear double t-shirts. He'll always have a long sleeve t-shirt on and then a short sleeve t-shirt on the outside, and they invariably have an interesting slogan on the front. So that is excellent because it means people will come up to him and ask about the t-shirt, the band it's about, or whatever it is. So if there's something like that about you where you always do something, like where you always wear odd socks or you always wear pink shoes, whatever it is, because you feel like you're in a networking situation and you ought to do networking, forget about it. Show up, do you, and you will be bound to find people who want to chat to you. So don't have any pressure about being somebody that you're not, because that's just a waste of time. So have confidence in yourself, in who you are. If people don't like it, they can just not worry about it. Okay, so those were my top tips. The thing to remember is networking is about showing up. It's about knowing who you are and representing yourself faithfully. And it's also about thinking about what you can do to help or connect the people that you're showing up and chatting to, and remembering the details so that you've got that existing connection with those people for next time. All right, if you've liked what you've heard today, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't liked what you've heard today, thumbs down. But don't forget to give me a comment. I don't just want random thumbs down. I need the criticism so that I can improve for next time. If there are any videos that you would like to see from me, then put them in the comments below and I'll have a look through and see if I can address as many of those as possible. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.